Have you ever felt like entirely paralyzed by just having way too many
Oh,
options?
absolutely. It's so common.
Right. It's like you are standing in front of this endless, massive buffet, and the sheer fear of making the wrong choice means you eventually just, walk away with an empty plate.
Yeah, decision fatigue is very real.
Exactly. Or on the flip side, have you ever stayed in a miserable situation, like a bad job or a toxic relationship, maybe a living situation that just drained the life out of you because you were absolutely terrified that if you walked away, you'd be left with nothing at all?
Right, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, you just stare at the exit, but you literally can't bring yourself to walk through it.
Well, we are conditioned, especially in modern society, to believe that keeping all of our options open is the ultimate goal.
Hmm.
We're taught from a very young age to sample the entire buffet, to hedge our bets, and really just delay absolute commitment for as long as possible.
Yeah, keep your doors open.
Exactly.
Mm.
We are fundamentally terrified of the definitive end of any single possibility.
Which brings us to our deep dive today. We're focusing on this really intriguing philosophical text by an author named Sufeng. It's translated as close one door and others will open automatically.
It's a fascinating title.
It really is. And the mission here is to explore a radically different framework for how we actually make choices. This text argues aggressively against the modern idea of having it all, and it suggests that trying to keep your options open is, it's the exact mechanism that's keeping you trapped.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the author's approach to dismantling our fear of choice is incredibly unique.
Yeah, what stands out immediately in this framework is really the uncompromising tone.
Uncompromising is a good word for it.
It really is. The author takes these mundane, easily verifiable, everyday observations and kind of extrapolates them into a grand cosmic architecture. The text uses the physical limitations we experience every single day to make this bold point about human limitations and potential. It essentially forces us to look at the mechanics of choice, not as a psychological preference, but as a hard, unbreakable law of physics.
Yeah, it grounds you in the physical world first, which I love. The source uses these highly relatable analogies to establish its baseline.
Like the movie theater.
Yes, exactly. Think about sitting in a movie theater. The movie ends, the lights come up, and you look around.
And you see all the exits.
Right. There might be like 6 different exit doors illuminated with those red signs. All of them are open. All of them lead out of the theater. But you, as a single physical entity, can only walk through one of them.
You literally can't be in two places at once.
No, you cannot enter or exit through 2 doors simultaneously. It is physically impossible to just split yourself down the middle and take the left exit and the right exit at the exact same time.
Which is such a simple observation, but the author expands this geometric constraint to broader scenarios.
Like what?
Well, consider an airport tarmac. You've got dozens of commercial jets sitting out there boarding passengers for destinations all over the globe.
Oh, right, yeah.
You hold a ticket, which gives you the power to choose,
Yeah.
but you can only board one single plane. You cannot fly to London and Tokyo simultaneously.
I mean, unless you figure out teleportation, but
Yeah, exactly. Or look at a high school graduate looking at a massive catalog of universities. Dozens of schools might accept them, offering dozens of different futures.
Mhm.
But when the fall semester finally starts, they can only sit in one lecture hall at one university.
Yeah, you can't be a freshman at Harvard and Stanford on the exact same Tuesday morning. You have to pick.
Right.
And this
Yeah.
physical exclusivity, the fact that selecting one path instantly negates all the others in that exact physical moment, that sets the stage for the text's massive leap into cosmic architecture.
This is where it gets really big.
Huge,
Yeah.
because the text states there are exactly 36 doors in the universe. But out of those 36, only 12 are available for humans to enter and exit.
The 12.
Wait, only 12? Like, out of a universe of billions of daily choices and possibilities, we only get 12 master categories. How does the author arrive at that specific limit?
Well, so the text doesn't provide a literal mathematical proof for the number 12, but it treats these as foundational archetypes or master paths of human existence.
Okay, I see.
The fundamental rule governing these 12 human doors is that they are always open. They are never locked, representing the idea that humans always possess the inherent power to choose.
So you always have options.
Yes, you are never without agency. However, the core mechanic dictates that the moment you choose to walk through one specific door, the other 11 automatically close.
Oh, because you can't be in two places at once.
Exactly.
So if you are in door number 3, doors 1, 2, and 4 through 12 are physically shut to you. You are completely committed.
Yes, and this leads to the central mechanism that actually gives the text its title.
Right, about closing doors.
Right. When you consciously, intentionally close a door, when you leave a space or reject a path, the remaining 11 doors automatically spring wide open for you again.
Now, I have to push back on the literal math of this for a second.
Go for it.
Because if you can only physically walk through one door at a time, like we established with the movie theater, how does stepping out of or closing one door suddenly mean you are walking through 11? That doesn't make sense physically.
It sounds a bit contradictory at first, yeah.
Right. But looking closer at the source, it's not talking about you suddenly splitting into 11 people and walking through 11 doors at once.
Yeah.
It's talking about the return of potential.
Ah, yes. That framing clarifies the concept perfectly.
It's like the potential is restored to the system.
Exactly.
Think about the RAM on your computer. If you have a massive heavy software program running, like editing video or something, it takes up all your system's memory.
Yeah, your computer just crawls.
Right. You can't open anything else. The computer just freezes if you try to multitask.
Hmm.
That one program is the door you are currently in.
Okay, I track that.
But the second you force quit that program, the second you firmly close that door, you instantly regain 100% of your computer's potential. All the other applications are suddenly available to be opened again.
That's a really great way to look at it.
So the moment you firmly reject a path, your universe of possibilities instantly expands back to its maximum human limit.
Right. And the text actually anchors this cosmic law of exclusivity in a traditional cultural idiom. It says, a man fears choosing the wrong profession. A woman fears marrying the wrong man.
Oh, interesting.
It illustrates that making a profound choice locks you in, closing the other doors. The fear really stems from the permanence of that exclusivity.
Because if you choose the wrong path, you are cut off from the right ones.
Exactly, because you can only inhabit one life at a time.
It's so easy to accept that our physical bodies get exhausted trying to be in two places at once. I mean, we all know what burnout feels like.
Oh, absolutely.
But the author argues that trying to hold multiple contradictory moral values exhausts our spirit in the exact same way.
Yes.
The text takes this strict exclusivity, this absolute law that you can only choose one door, and applies it directly to human morality and abstract values.
And this is where it introduces a value system made up of 9 specific doors.
Right, let me list these out. The values are Tao, virtue, law, benevolence, righteousness, rituals, wisdom, credibility, and magical art.
And in classical thought, these are often viewed as this spectrum of perfection that a person should strive to accumulate simultaneously.
Like you're supposed to collect them all.
Yeah, a great sage is supposed to possess all of them.
But this framework claims you can only choose one of these. You are entirely unable to possess them all.
Which is quite the claim.
Just like you can't be on 2 airplanes at once, you cannot inhabit 2 of these moral virtues at once. It lays out this incredible chain of negation.
Let's hear it.
Okay, choosing Tao means no virtue. Choosing virtue means no law. Choosing law means no benevolence. Choosing benevolence means no righteousness.
It just cascades.
Yeah. Choosing righteousness means no rituals. Choosing rituals means no wisdom. Choosing wisdom means no credibility. And choosing credibility means no magical art. And it works in reverse, too.
What's fascinating here is the author's critique that 99% of people will fundamentally disagree with this absolute exclusivity.
Because we want to have it all.
Exactly. People treat these 9 values like they are 9 dishes on a banquet table. We walk through life thinking we can scoop a little bit of law, a side of benevolence, a sprinkle of wisdom, and just a heavy helping of virtue onto our plate.
Just make a nice little sampler platter.
Right, we think we can sample everything.
Ugh.
But the text argues that this mindset fails to grasp the fundamentally contradictory nature of these concepts, which it calls mutually restraining.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's explore that mutually restraining friction. Because on the surface, saying that law and benevolence cancel each other out sounds, well, counterintuitive.
That sounds strange at first.
But think about it. The law requires absolute blind rigidity. If the speed limit is 65 and you drive 80, the law says you get a ticket. Period.
No exceptions.
Exactly. But benevolence requires empathy, context, and making exceptions. Like, if you were driving 80 because your wife was going into labor in the passenger seat, benevolence says, let them go.
Right, of course.
You literally cannot apply pure law and pure benevolence in the exact same moment. One has to override the other.
Yes, and that friction is exactly what the author means by mutually restraining. If a society tries to perfectly enforce both, you end up with a completely paralyzed justice system.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the same applies further down the chain. Take wisdom versus credibility. Credibility, in its purest form, demands absolute consistency and adherence to your word, regardless of changing circumstances.
Right, like you promise to do something, so you do it. Right. But wisdom involves adapting to new information. Like, if a wise person realizes their previous promise will now cause harm due to unforeseen circumstances, they will break the promise to prevent the harm.
Yes, exactly.
You cannot be perfectly credible, keeping your word no matter what, and perfectly wise adapting to reality simultaneously.
Or look at righteousness versus rituals. Rituals were all about maintaining social harmony, politeness, and adhering to the established forms of society.
Not rocking the boat.
Right. But righteousness is about standing up for absolute moral correctness, which often requires disrupting social harmony, calling out polite hypocrisies, and really just flipping the table.
Yeah, you can't be a polite conformist and a righteous disruptor at the exact same time. There are totally different doors.
They are.
Which brings us to the top of the hierarchy, where the text challenges standard philosophical assumptions like Tao and virtue. It asserts that if someone claims to perfectly embody both Tao and virtue, it is utterly impossible.
Impossible.
If you have Tao, you inevitably lack virtue, and vice versa.
Which naturally raises an important question. Why are Tao and virtue opposed?
Well, if we think about Tao as moving effortlessly with the natural, chaotic, unnameable flow of the universe, and virtue as adhering to a strict, constructed human moral code of good behavior, you just can't do both.
They are fundamentally different energies.
Exactly. If you are constantly checking your actions against a rigid moral code, you are no longer flowing naturally. You are policing yourself.
Right.
It's the difference between a wild, rushing river and a carefully carved canal.
The author actually goes so far as to say that if a person claims to possess both, the Tao they are presenting must be a facade.
Oh, wow.
It is a false front above the door. To claim both is a structural lie, basically akin to claiming you are walking out of two movie theater exits at the exact same time.
I kept thinking about this in terms of video games.
Okay, how so?
If you've ever played a massive role-playing game, an RPG, you know about skill trees, you earn experience points, and you have to allocate them. If you take all your points and dump them into the law class, the game physically locks you out of the benevolence class.
Oh, right. It forces you to choose a build.
Exactly. The code of the game literally restrains you. You can't cheat the system to be a master of absolutely everything. You have to specialize. You have to pick a door.
The text states that the entirety of human complexity, the very root cause of human confusion and historical chaos, stems from this exact misunderstanding.
We just want all the stats maxed out.
We do. We are trying to be all things at all times, standing in the middle of the room, refusing to commit to one door. And as a result, we live in a state of constant contradiction, literally tearing ourselves apart.
So as we move from these abstract virtues down to the reality you and I live in every day, the source gets even more unyielding. It introduces what we could call the law of identity, demanding an almost brutal honesty about which door you currently occupy in society.
The text provides very strict, uncompromising examples of roles to illustrate this. It states that once you become a farmer, you have absolutely no connection to being a worker.
Right.
It argues a thief cannot be an upright gentleman, a corrupt official is no longer a representative of the people, and a prostitute cannot be called a lady.
Just totally black and white.
These were presented as mutually exclusive states of being. You cannot straddle the threshold. You are either in the room or you are out of it.
Think about your own roles right now. Like, do you try to be the ruthless, hyper-competitive business executive at 5 p.m. and the flawlessly patient, benevolent parent at 6 p.m.?
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. The text argues that this constant shifting of rooms, or pretending you can keep one foot in the boardroom and one foot in the nursery without friction, is exactly what is making you miserable. The conflicting demands of those different identities will inevitably collide.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the psychological core of the entire text reveals itself when we examine why we lie to ourselves about what door we are in.
Yeah, why do we do that? Why do we try to pretend we are in two rooms at once?
The author points out that many people know exactly which door they are currently standing in.
They know it's the wrong one.
Exactly. They know the room they are in is full of difficulties, suffering, and profound dissatisfaction. Yet they lack the courage to turn around, walk out, and pull the door shut behind them.
Because they're scared.
Very scared. They are terrified that once they close that door, there will be no other doors left to enter. They equate closing a door with the end of their existence or the permanent end of their options.
It's like the ultimate fear of missing out, twisted into a fear of having nothing. You stay in the terrible job because you think, if I quit, what if I never find another job?
Right.
You stay in the broken relationship because you think, if I leave, what if I'm alone forever? You are staring at the closed door of your own prison, terrified to lock it.
But the text calls this concern entirely unnecessary.
Wait, why?
Because it violates the cosmic rule established at the very beginning. Remember the math. When you close one door, the other 11 automatically open.
Oh, right. The
Yeah.
return of potential.
Exactly. The universe is designed to provide paths, but it requires the sacrifice of the current path to reveal them. You have to create the vacuum for the universe to fill. Nature abhors a vacuum, and according to this text, so does potential.
So what does this all mean? Like, where does this framework ultimately lead? Because the text doesn't just leave us floating in a sea of endlessly opening and closing doors, right?
Oh, it doesn't.
It funnels toward a very specific grand finale. We established earlier that there are only 12 master doors of life for humanity.
And the author acknowledges that there are millions, perhaps billions, of individual paths in human life. Every day is a choice. But all of those countless sprawling paths eventually funnel down and force you into one of these 12 ultimate doors of life.
And the stakes reach their absolute peak here. The text flips a very common saying, all roads lead to Rome.
Which is usually a very comforting idea.
Yeah, it's this comforting idea that no matter what you do, you'll eventually end up where you're supposed to be. But the text says, sure, all roads might lead to Rome, but not all roads lead to heaven. In fact, many paths, if you follow them through the wrong doors, lead directly to hell.
It presents a binary terminal outcome. The ultimate expression of this exclusivity is the choice between life and death.
It doesn't get more binary than that.
The text states that choosing death automatically instantly closes the door to life, and opening the door to life automatically closes the door to death.
The ultimate either-or. You cannot choose both. You cannot delay. The text explicitly warns that delaying this choice, trying to linger in the hallway, trying to keep all your options open, will result in lifelong regret.
You have to commit to a door.
You do. And the text actually reveals a destination right at the very end.
Yes, the source material concludes by naming one specific door, stating that Lifechanyuan is one of these doors.
Lifechanyuan.
Yes, and it claims that this specific door primarily leads to a destination it calls the 1,000-year world.
Now, what exactly does that mean in the context of this cosmic architecture?
Well, the author introduces Lifechanyuan not just as another option on the buffet, but as the final ultimate commitment you make after you've developed the courage to close all the wrong doors.
Okay, I see.
The 1,000-year world represents a state of permanence. If the tragedy of human existence is constantly hopping from room to room, creating chaos, this final door represents the end of the shifting.
It is a terminal endpoint where the anxiety of choice is finally resolved.
Exactly. To synthesize the core lesson here for you, we live in a world that constantly, relentlessly tells you to keep your options open,
Right.
to hedge your bets, to never fully commit because something better might come along. This text completely upends that worldview.
It really does.
It argues that true progress, true clarity, and ultimately true peace can only come from the courage to close doors. It asks you to trust in the cosmic geometry, that if you boldly shut the door on a path that is causing you suffering, or a moral compromise that is tearing you apart, the universe will mechanically open new ones in response.
You don't have to force the new doors open. You just have to be brave enough to close the old one.
Precisely.
It's about trading the illusion of having everything for the reality of having something real. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final lingering mystery to ponder.
Yeah.
A thought that builds on the very first cosmic math equation this text presented to us. We spent all this time talking about the 12 doors available to humans.
Right.
We talked about how they open and close based on our choices. But remember the opening premise. The text explicitly stated that there are exactly 36 doors in the universe, but humans are only allowed to access 12 of them.
Sure.
Yeah. What exactly is behind those other 24 doors, and what kind of beings are walking through them?